Calaroga Shark Media.
Hi there, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news, a daily briefing on stand-up comedy, comedians, and the comedy industry, a sentence the algorithm loves. Melania Trump has demanded that ABC take a stand and fire Jimmy Kimmel over what Melania Trump described as his hateful and violent rhetoric, calling Jimmy Kimmel a coward that engages in atrocious behavior. Now, last week, Jimmy Kimmel had done a fake White House Correspondents' Dinner. Again, last week, before the incident on Saturday night, Kimmel did this comedy routine last week. In the comedy routine, Jimmy Kimmel had joked that Mrs. Trump had the glow of an expectant widow. I wasn't in the writer's room, but as a semi-comedy expert, I will suspect that the nature of that joke was a commentary on the president not always looking healthy. Anyway, after the incident on Saturday night, the clip resurfaced. It was now recontextualized, obviously. On social media, Melania Trump's account wrote, "Kimmel's hateful and violent rhetoric is intended to divide our country. His monologue about my family isn't comedy. His words are corrosive and deepens the political sickness within America. People like Kimmel shouldn't have the opportunity to enter our homes each evening to spread hate. A coward. Kimmel hides behind ABC because he knows the network will keep running cover to protect him. Enough is enough. It's time for ABC to take a stand. How many times will ABC's leadership enable Kimmel's atrocious behavior at the expense of our community?" I'm not going to replay the clip because I'm not looking to stir that pot. Also, if you're in the Facebook group, you know about this. So here's what happened on my end. In Sunday morning show, I had the Kimmel bit, so if you do want to hear it, it's there if you want to go back and hear it. And then I was watching the Knicks on Saturday night. And as the Knicks game was wrapping up, I saw the news from the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and I switched over to CNN. And at around 9:30, I thought to myself, you know what? I shouldn't play this Kimmel material because it is now recontextualized, and I don't want to make fun of a potentially tragic event. And there's breaking news here, and we don't know what has happened yet. So let me take the Kimmel stuff out. And I sat down, and I made an edit, and I uploaded a new version of the show that didn't contain the Kimmel material. So then on Sunday morning, I'm driving to the National Donuts chain, listening back to the show. I always listen back to the show to see if there are any mistakes. And to my horror, the Kimmel material was still in there. I'm befuddled as to how that happened, and I'm positive I made the audio edit because A, I have it, and B, I specifically remember having to move the commercial marker because when you changed the audio, the show got shorter, so the commercial marker had to move to where the commercial hole was. So I'm positive that I uploaded it. I don't know what happened. Maybe I didn't hit save. Maybe something happened with the computers. I don't know. But anyway, the point being, I heard the Kimmel clip, and I was like, oh, no. So the Facebook group knows that I felt truly bad about that, and I come in peace. I like to make fun of stuff. I like to be rascally. I don't come in hate at all. So back to Kimmel. Again, he made these jokes last week, and I don't think these were violent jokes. I think he was just goofing about the president's age and general health. And I don't think Jimmy would have done the same bit on, say, Monday night's show after a potential shooting. Later in the day, the President of the United States weighed in, saying, "I appreciate that so many people are incensed by Kimmel's despicable call to violence and normally would not be responsive to anything that he said, but this is something far beyond the pale. Jimmy Kimmel should be immediately fired by Disney and ABC." Jimmy Kimmel hosted his show on Monday night and responded. Jimmy said, "You know, sometimes you wake up in the morning and the first lady puts out a statement demanding you be fired from your job. We've all been there, right?" He then cleared up the joke, which is kind of what I think it was. Obviously, it was a joke about their age difference and the look of joy we see on her face every time they're together. It was a very light roast joke about the fact that he's almost 80 and she's younger than I am. It was not, by any stretch of the definition, a call to assassination, and they know that. I've been very vocal for many years, speaking out against gun violence in particular. The other late-night hosts weighed in. Jimmy Fallon said everybody was talking about how bad the security was at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. The good news is everyone is safe, and I think now security has figured this out. They said from now on they're going to put Trump in a locked deodorant case like CVS. All right, Fallon again. When the incident occurred on Saturday night, Oz the Mentalist was performing for Trump. Trump looked at him like, "Yes, I did have the 6 of diamonds, but why didn't you predict this?" But Trump wants the event to be rescheduled within 30 days, and FBI Director Kash Patel said he expects the security at the next dinner to be entirely different because by then he'll be fired. That's a solid one. Now, people often say, hey, John, how come you don't both sides things? And I say, because anytime I do a recap, there's nothing from the other side. Well, today there is. Greg Gutfeld said, good news, Nancy Pelosi was safe as she was wearing a bulletproof face. Gutfeld again, when reached for comment, Joe Biden said, it's times like these that made me glad I'm already dead. George Clooney weighed in on this. Now, it's unclear if the reporters knew they were speaking to George Clooney or if they thought they were talking to me and were like, okay, he hosts Daily Comedy News. We should get a reaction from him. Clooney and I are often confused for each other, so it's unclear who the reporters thought they were talking to, but it wasn't me. It was actually George Clooney who said, Jimmy's a comedian, and I would argue that Carolyn Levitt didn't mean shots should be fired. You may have seen earlier in the day. Prior to all this happening, Carolyn Levitt had encouraged everyone to tune in, using the phrase, shots will be fired. Clooney continued, saying, she was making a joke, fair enough. You look at that side and go, well, jokes are jokes, but the rhetoric is a little dangerous, and we've seen it a lot lately. Triumph the insult comic dog was at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which sounds like something you'd make up. Nope, he was there, and he spoke to Jon Stewart about it.
Were you worried about, to be honest, getting killed?
Yes, but mostly because I didn't want RFK Jr. to eat my carcass.
Late Nighter said that multiple reports say that the FCC is taking steps towards launching an early review of ABC's broadcast licenses. This may or may not have something to do with the Kimmel joke. CNN's Brian Stelter said that the review could have come as early as yesterday afternoon. I'll let you know what happened. Meanwhile, King Charles, he's visiting the President of the United States. And if you want coverage of that, check out the podcast Palace Intrigue. I'm the writer on that. I was actually quoted in USA Today. Pop on my LinkedIn. There's a link to that. But anyway, King Charles was asked about Matt Friend's impression. Matt Friend not having a good week. Let me play a clip of Matt Friend doing King Charles. This is not the clip that King Charles was reacting to, but here is Matt Friend doing Charles on Sky News.
But I'm trying to figure out other dialects. The King Charles is quite fun. When I come here to England, I try out different voices, and it's more based off of the Crown's interpretation.
Now, honestly, that's not a bad King Charles impression at all. However, Matt Friend attempted to do King Charles to King Charles, and the king said, keep working on it. Let's all wish Stavros Halkias well. He went on Instagram and said, hey, bad news. I broke my arm. I fell off a scooter. I wish I was telling you that I heroically stopped a burglar from harming a woman and suffered harm as a result, but no, I flatly rode a bird scooter. The wind took my hat almost, and I reached up to try and stop it, lost my balance, and fell arm first into the street. 280 pounds of me directly onto my arm. Cracked it smooth in half. It hurts like bleep. I'm pretty effed up, and I'm going to be effed up for a little while. He has had to postpone the taping of his comedy special. He was going to tape one in Baltimore July 18th and 19th. He said, there's just no way for me to do the special any justice right now. I want to do a good job for you guys. I don't want to put out some effing half-ass BS just because I would lose money not doing it when it's scheduled. Social media was kind as always. One person wrote, someone track down the CCTV footage of this, please. It must exist. Another fan wrote, we can rebuild him, the 6 million calorie man. One of the top comments read, did you immediately pull your shirt back down? Tom Segura said he almost had Garth Brooks on his podcast. You may recall, back in 2018, Tom Segura started joking about Garth Brooks joining Facebook. Back in 2018, Segura made the joke, what he's thinking about is all the bodies he's got stacked in graves in his yard for sure. He's probably killed 200, 300 people in his life. After that episode aired, Garth Brooks' comment sections on social media began getting flooded by fans of Tom Segura, asking Garth Brooks, where are the bodies? Well, we're now learning that Segura was contacted by Garth Brooks' team to have Garth appear on Tom Segura's podcast. Segura told this story on Andrew Schultz's Flagrant podcast. Segura said, I tried to get Garth on. At one point, they reached out and they said, Garth's going to do some interviews. Would you like him to be on the podcast? I said, of course. So they were like, write something that we could show to one of his people. Segura said he took the request semi-seriously, writing back that he'd love to have him on and talk about his career. Segura thinks they weren't even sure if Segura was the Where Are the Bodies guy. Quoting Segura here, the agent told my guy instead of confirming, didn't he say something crazy about Garth? I feel like it could go wrong for him. I feel like that guy had said something. Eventually they're like, he's not coming on that show. Too bad. That would have been amazing. So we're all in this for the money, including Johnny Mac. But you can die a little inside when Kill Tony gets a little more corporate. Fox's Red Seat Ventures is expanding into stand-up comedy and live entertainment through a multi-year deal with Kill Tony. That's right, Red Seat Ventures, which features as a creator services company within Fox's Tubi Media Group, will handle advertising sales for Kill Tony on both video and audio. The Kill Tony show will be distributed on Fox's streaming platforms Tubi and Fox One. Tony Hinchcliffe said, Red Seat Ventures is the perfect partner for our podcast. They understand our brand, our vision, and the importance of capturing and delivering live content to audiences. Do you hear all the cool sucking out of Tony Hinchcliffe as he said that sentence? Chris, presumably the CEO of Red Seat Ventures, Chris and his team have the right tools and resources for us to maximize and elevate our podcasting footprint. Listen to yourself, Tony. Holy S. And we're excited to kick off the partnership with even more great comedic content for our audiences. Red Seat Ventures portfolio includes folks like Nancy Grace and Megyn Kelly. Kill Tony is their major push into comedy. Can I interest you in some comedian trading cards? The folks at the Laugh Factory have unveiled the first line of collectible trading cards. That's right. The founder of the Laugh Factory, Jamie Masada, said from the very beginning, Laugh Factory has always been about giving comedians a stage and a voice. To now see comedy honored in this way with its own collectible trading cards is something truly special. Some of the comedians featured on the cards. Do you want to guess? Should I give you a minute? Who do you think is going to be featured on the cards? Well, wrong. Dane Cook. Okay, now we can draw a line and then go like 3/4 of the way down the page. The first name is Dane Cook. And then Orny Adams, Tom Dressen, Catherine Blanford, who I think is great, and Maz Jobrani, who I've always enjoyed when I spent time with him. But it's Dane Cook, Orny Adams, Tom Dressen, Catherine Blanford, and Maz Jobrani. Laugh Factory President David Fuhrer said, these cards honor the voices, the risk takers, and the artists who make people laugh for a living. We're proud to help cement the legacy of comedy in a completely new way, and that completely new way is with an Orny Adams trading card. Trevor Noah is heading back to South Africa for South Africa's Festival of Comedy. Trevor Noah has been named captain of a national comedy team. Did you guys listen to the comedy draft last week? What happened here? Trevor Noah said the goal is to grow the South African comedy scene and bring people back to live stand-up. Trevor said, we want to create something that gives comedians a bigger platform and reminds people how powerful live comedy can be. The festival isn't being pitched as a typical lineup of shows. Instead, it's being framed like a sports rollout, with Eugene Koza as vice captain and Natasha Madlingozi as coach, all working together to spotlight both established acts and newer voices. Trevor Noah said, comedy has always been a reflection of who we are, and this is about celebrating that voice on a larger scale. Major live shows are expected in September in cities like Pretoria and Cape Town. Seth Meyers and John Oliver have extended their residency at New York City's Beacon Theater. They already had shows May 31st and June 14th. They will now also do September 27th, October 25th, November 22nd, and December 13th. Each show features a 45 to 50-minute stand-up set from both comics, then a Q&A. And Angela Johnson will have a new special. Ugly Baby will be on YouTube Mother's Day, Sunday, May 10th at noon Pacific time. At the heart of the special is Angela's journey into motherhood in her 40s. She opens up about personal struggles with fertility, pregnancy, and postpartum life. There is a trailer. However, whoever mixed the trailer mixed it too loud, and it's going to sound like crap on the podcast, so I'm not going to play it. Angela said, I'm grateful that I've been able to do this 7 times. My boobs may be falling lower, but at least my career continues to reach new heights. All thanks to my loyal fans, blah, blah, blah. And that is your comedy news for today. I will see you tomorrow.